Summer League game, caught on camera saying, a little bit of lip reading, "I don't think Bronny is a pro." Now, he took to Twitter this morning and wrote, "It's a flex to have your son alongside you in the NBA. It reflects greatness and longevity. Bronny has all the tools around him to be successful. I look forward to watching his growth." Now, in 25 minutes of action per game, here's Bronny's numbers in Summer League. I'll be honest with you, not great. 0 for 15 from 3. So what's your reaction to Jalen's scouting report and Bronny's numbers, bro?
Well, look, I think it's way too early to write off Bronny and say he's not a pro. But he's got a long way to go. And when J.J. Redick says he's a developmental player, he's a project. I mean, that's really, let's just keep it real. That's what Bronny is. And he's got the 4-year contract. Defensively, you like what you see in that, he's a plus athlete. So if you're a plus athlete, you have the size and the strength, or the speed and the strength to be, an NBA level player.
Are we sure of that, though?
He's athletically?
Oh, he's
I think he's athletic.
6'2" and just.
He's tall enough to defend point guards. Okay. Point guards. I am obviously you're disappointed in the shooting. That's something you can work on. LeBron was not a great shooter earlier in his career and has become a good shooter. So if Bronny works on the shot, I'm convinced that he can become a solid shooter. And defensively, he can play in the league. It is a little striking to me that they don't have him bring the ball up at all. I mean, he's the size of a point guard. I get it that he's not going to be a point, but he has, not to the level of LeBron, but he's got high basketball IQ. You would think that they would play him a little, in my view, as a point guard.
At least during Summer League.
Yeah, just to see. Yeah. So that's a little alarming. But look, this is going to be a long process. I'm glad that he said he'll play in the G League. Yeah. I don't think he's going to go down there and light it up statistically, but he'll learn and continue to grow and develop. He should just focus on defense and hitting threes, because that's what's going to get him in a rotation at some point.
So at first, Wilds' question there, I think, is well taken, which is, it is hard. It's not unprecedented, but it is hard to have your number one asset be defense and to be under 6'2". You know what I mean? So I do think.
Patrick, I hate to bring
I didn't say. That's why I said not unprecedented. It is just if he were 6'4.5", then I think this is a totally different conversation. But he's not, and. So it is a very narrow path, because I do think he is a plus athlete when it comes to athleticism, when it comes to the raw things, jumping, speed, those things. But at 6'1.5", you're not going to be plus length. You're not going to be plus height. So that really does really work against you, especially on the defensive end. When it comes to Jalen's comment, this is where the momentary lip reading can be tricky. It really, to me, depends on how he said it.
Yeah.
Because if he's saying, I don't think Bronny's a pro, meaning right now he's not a pro, he's obviously unequivocally correct. And if he's saying, I don't think he's a pro, meaning this guy will never be a pro, that to me is premature. And so I think that is too early to say that. When the reality is those numbers look the way they did because 0 for 15 from 3 is almost impossible to recover from. From a statistical perspective. But as far as him not being a contributor in year one and spending most of the time as G League, every second-round pick basically ever, I shouldn't say ever, but since G League's existed, that's been the path. The typical path is they're not ready to contribute their first year in the league. And any Lakers fans that thought he was going to be a part of this year's rotation, I don't think that was ever part of the real plan here.
Yeah. Two things. First, about the statistics. The 0 for 15 jumps out. And a few of those were like end of the shot clock. He's kind of has to point it out. And we've said a handful of times that we've been impressed with how Bronny has handled the pressure of this. To me, if there was one thing where he has outwardly handled this perfectly, it might show up here, where you go 0 for 8, 0 for 9, 0 for 10. That maybe the pressure of being Bronny James, having the crowds
has shown
packed, it shows up not in your hustle and not in your defensive effort, but maybe it shows up in shooting threes, which you weren't great at USC anyways.
Well, that's the scary thing. Like if he had shot 37% at USC
Yep.
and you knew he was a really good shooter, then this would be like, okay, he's in a slump. Maybe it's the pressure, whatever. But he didn't shoot it well at as you see, at USC.
Yeah. So if you lose the 3 from 3 and D, I think the path gets even narrower.
No, then the path's gone.
Yeah.
No.
He's not a 3 and D guy right now.
No,
that's the hope that he can become.
No, and people can be mad at the Lakers or mad at LeBron or mad at Rich Paul, whatever. I don't really care. As far as like a informational standpoint, I don't know if you agree with me or not. I think this year should be looked at as his second year of college basketball in the G League.
Can I push you on that then? And granted, I'm a UConn fan, so this is a little biased. But if Dan Hurley was going to coach the Lakers, and LeBron loved Dan Hurley, and everybody loves Dan Hurley, and this is going to be viewed as a second year of college, then why didn't he just stay in college?
Because the
why
coach
didn't he get out and go?
Him left. He was going to have
then
to
why
transfer.
why don't you go to UConn?
I don't know that UConn wanted Bronny James. I don't know that he wanted to go across the country.
To any college.
Yeah, I mean,
I believe a college should develop him better than the G League.
So I don't know that. So that's the part. Again, we don't have time to get into it now. I don't know that random college X, if he goes to Duquesne, where
Drew Joyce.
Joyce just went, that's going to be a better developmental path than having the Los Angeles Lakers invested in you in the form of, we did spend a second-round pick on you, and you get to work somewhat with LeBron on a daily basis, see how he works, see what his methods are. I don't know. That could be the case. My point is, he's not supposed to be a contributor this year. No second-round pick is supposed to be a contributor.
Fully focused shows this week. 3.5. We've got 4 hours to find about 5.5 hours of TV. We're going to deliver to you.
How did you mess that math up too?
3.
It's 5.
4.5, 5. I'm counting content time.
Okay, got it.
I'm not counting commercial time or promos.
Yeah.
It's first things first. We're back today. The Chiefs bulletin board also back off vacation.
Wow.
One executive making their debut. Also, maybe a fellow media member. I'm not sure. We discussed it.
Maybe.
That kind of goes against the rules and spirit of the program. But
Greenberg wouldn't mind.
meanwhile, All-Star game tonight on Fox. Coverage starts at 7. A-Rod joins us to talk about Judge, Ohtani, Soto, and my guy, Paul Skeens. I'm putting a claim on Paul Skeens.
Do you think he's mad at you on behalf of Anthony Edwards, since Anthony Edwards is mad at you?
Paul Skeens, no.
No.
And finally, Micah Parsons finally agrees with Brew. Oh, he's dropping the podcast? No. But he thinks the Cowboys are S-Bob.
Does he?
Of course they are.
Well, I'm Kevin Wildes alongside Nick Wright.
Welcome to the party.
Brew, are you happy that Micah now believes the Cowboys are also S-Bob?
He's listening to the show, which I'm happy with.
Listening or
And,
a good podcast?
I'll help him out this year.
Watching it all or just listening?
Well, watching and listening.
Look how brown my hair looks. Wow.
I know.
Something about that salt water. That's that Greg right now.
This guy.
Feeling
Salt
good.
water
See
with
you
hair
guys. I
dye.
miss you guys a lot.
I wish I could say this. We start with Jeremy Fowler's yearly survey of executives, coaches, and scouts, which has delivered a few bombshells here. Top 10 QB list. Mahomes at number 1, but not unanimous. More on that in a second. Joe Burrow, Allen, Lamar, the reigning MVP, who I don't know is 60-23
Respect
all
on
time.
my guy Matt Stafford's name. How about that? It's right where he was in the mountain, too.
Overrated.
Okay.
Who's saying that? Josh Frisky. Herbert, Stroud, Aaron Rodgers hasn't thrown for you.
Interesting list.
Goff, and then finally Dak. So we'll start with Dak at 10. Here's his stats last year for being the 10th best quarterback in the league.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I don't see any 10s on there. So, Dak too high, too low, or just right?
Brew, I truly don't know where you're going to stand on this. We never talked before the show, but we also haven't talked in 10 days. Brew's been.
I've been
You were on the
gallivanting.
island.
So I'm
nice,
curious
pretty
what
tan.
you're going to say, but I think this is basically the exact right spot for Dak. Even if I might have a couple guys who were behind him ahead of him and a couple guys who were ahead of him behind him. You know what I mean? Like I might but I think 10th best quarterback in the league is almost exactly right, especially because it seems like rookies were ineligible for this list. So if you're really high on Caleb like me or Jaden or Drake or whomever.
I don't know if they're ineligible. I just don't know if anyone's putting Caleb top 10.
Well, no, I don't think I mean.
You want Drake May top 10?
No, I
maybe?
don't think any rookie has ever, when they've done this, gotten top 10 votes. So they're de facto ineligible.
Yeah.
So, and that's why this is such a tough spot for Dallas, bro. Because he's clearly